Cipro was a totally toxic drug. It was the only drug speciously selected by the FDA.
So you were seeing the pre-advertising for the attack that was coming, a huge promotion of this helps you with anthrax, and you're going, why would anybody need that? That's pretty obvious.
Yeah, because you could, go to Italian food restaurants, eat a lot of garlic, and be protected against anthrax. You didn't need to take Cipro at a cost of $700 for a 60-day supply that was neurotoxic, and it was obvious it had never been tested in
And you said
children.
it was neurotoxic at the time. That's now admitted, and Japan's banned it.
Well, exactly. I mean, this is the same thing we see over and over and over again. Look at limericks. Look at the Lyme vaccine. It was totally toxic. We knew it was going to cause 25, 26% of the people that got it is going to suffer from Lyme disease after getting it. We saw the same thing coming with Vioxx, hideously toxic. And so and the same thing right now with the squalene and the adjuvant additives within the flu vaccine, totally untested. The reports are coming in. The governments are issuing reports to neurologists saying, be on the lookout for tremendously increased caseloads of Guillain-Barré neurological impairments and autoimmune diseases following the flu vaccine. So we know what's going to happen. You've got to be an absolute idiot not to know how toxic these vaccines are.
And we're going to get into the vaccines, but specifically, I want to go through those 4 points. We've got you for another 45 minutes. Dr. Horowitz, then the FBI doesn't listen to you at the time, though, when you first try to warn them. Then they show up months later.
Yeah, I mean, it's total hypocrisy because they were advertising $1 million reward for anybody that would give them the information necessary to apprehend the varmints. And what I did was I led them to the Battelle Memorial Institute in West Jefferson, Ohio, which is a one-stop shopping mall for anything military and biological weapons. I also led them to the anthrax ace, William Patrick III, CIA operative, #1 bioweapons developer for anthrax, and the Russian dissident defector, Ken Alibek, alias. He was working with the CIA, and the CIA's project was called Clear Vision. All of that came out ultimately, mostly by my prodding. William Broad of the New York Times did us a favor. I hounded him to expose the Battelle Memorial Institute. So even in the New York Times, he came out with Clear Vision being the CIA operation by which the anthrax that was totally unique, just like this H1N1 is completely unique. I'm telling you, there's no possible way that it was anything but a laboratory creation, and any fool will know. How else could you possibly get an Asian chicken virus recombined with a Mexican swine pig virus, recombined with a dead corpse from 1918 Spanish flu virus, recombined with what's going on right now with a normal flu, into the population, have it infect 2 children initially in Southern California, living 100 miles apart, that never met each other. Then a couple days later, they never went to Mexico. Mexicans didn't come visit them. Suddenly you've got the same, totally unique, never before seen, extraordinary virus breaking out in Mexico.
Well, sir, what about foot and mouth in 2001? It pops up in over 30 locations from Scotland to Cornwall, from the south of England to the north in the same 2-day period. And there's laboratory people there. Part of Porton Down is part of an anti-zoological bioterrorism drill. We said clearly they planted it. They used it to kill 4 million cows, 8 million sheep that didn't even have it, bring in biological tyranny and control. And then 2 years later, they admitted, okay, the government accidentally released it from Porton Down Bioweapons Lab. Then they killed Dr. David Kelly to shut him up about it.
Right, and then most of the public don't know. When I published the book Death in the Air, Globalism, Terrorism, and Toxic Warfare, 3 months before 9/11, and I showed you that the Tyson Corporation was operating using biological weapons in order to literally conduct industrial espionage and sabotage. They were literally infecting the chickens in Asia with H1N1. That's the first time the world learned about H1N1.
We know the CIA over and over again would release bacteria, viruses, and insects, even in the 50s, in places like Guatemala.
Oh, absolutely.
That's declassified.
Absolutely, yeah. So You know, what we've done is we've exposed the heart of the beast with hard, cold documents that really are compelling, and that we ask everybody to go to the fluscam.com website, read the affidavit, make copies of it. If you have people that can bring injunctions and or lawsuits against those who are perpetrating this fraud and literal genocide, it is definitely not a term that we're used sensationally. If you look up the word, what does genocide mean? And it's such a sad thing that we, in America, we don't want to talk about the genocide that's happening here.
Give people the definition.
The definition is, quote, the mass killing or enslaving of people for profit, politics, and or ideology, end quote, Webster's Dictionary. So this is what's going on. You've got all three. You've got, number one, you've got money being made by the drug industrials. We're going to talk about, and like the affidavit shares with you and shows you, hard document proves the Rockefeller cartel from the partnership from New York City is engaged in a global cartel that is wielding the mass media.
All right, stay there. Stay there. We're going to come back. I'm going to sit back, go through your affidavit in detail. When I read your affidavit, it was all clicking because it was the same Rockefeller partnership with New York that controlled the Port Authority and the towers that leased it to Silverstein. And then when I got to the end of your affidavit, you made that point. So we were on the same page. As I was reading it last night, I knew what was going to be next because I knew the information. And that's when you know something's accurate, is when you can separately verify it because you already know it.